Hi, good morning everyone. If you have not forgotten, you may remember I was discussing the third chapter of your textbook, that is Kinship, Caste and Class. Basically in that chapter, we are discussing about the social behavior and the social practices through an epic called Mahabharata. Now, the next topic which I am going to discuss, that is beyond birth, resources and status. There were different group of the people who emerged as social actors in different parts of the subcontinent. Slave, landless peasants, hunters, merchants, kings, etc. Their social positions were shaped by their access to economic resources. It is very important, you must be knowing those who were having access to economic resources were considered influential in the society. Here we will examine the social implication of access to resources in certain specific situations. You must be knowing that in Mahabharata, Yudhishthir was invited by Duryodhan to a game of dice. Yudhishthir lost everything and then he staked their common wife Draupadi and lost her too. In fact, issues of ownership also figure in Dharma Shastras. According to Manu Smriti, the paternal estate was to be divided among sons after the death of parents. The upper class women may have had access to resources, but land, cattle and money were generally controlled by men. Next topic, that is Varnas and access to property. According to Brahmanical text, criteria for regulating access to wealth was Varna. Variety of occupations were listed for men of the first three Varnas. Kings are almost depicted as wealthy. Priests are also known to be rich, though there are occasional depictions of poor Brahmins. There were others who criticized the Varna system. The Buddhists rejected the idea of claims to status on the basis of birth. Next topic that we'll discuss, an alternative social scenario, sharing wealth. So far, we have seen that people claimed or were assigned status on the basis of their wealth. There were differences between rich and poor, but those who controlled resources were also expected to share them. Explaining social differences, a social contract. The Buddhists also developed an alternative understanding of social inequalities and of the institutions required to regulate social conflict. This suggests that the institution of kingship was based on human choice. At the same time, it reveals recognition of human agency in creating economic and social relations, and they could also change it in future. Next topic, that is handling text, historians and the Mahabharata. Historians considered several elements when they analyzed text. They examine whether texts are written in a language which is used by ordinary people or written in Sanskrit which is used by priests. Besides, they try to find out about the author's perspective which shaped the text. Authors keep in interest of their audience in mind while composing their work. It is only after making these assessments that they draw on the content of text to arrive at an understanding of their historical significance. Next topic, that is language and content. The language used in Mahabharata, that is Sanskrit, is far simpler than that of the Vedas. Historians usually classify the content under two heads. One, section that contain stories, and second, which contain prescriptions about social norms designated as didactic. Interestingly, the Mahabharata is described as an itihas within early Sanskrit traditions. Historians are not sure whether the war took place or not. They say that there is no evidence of the battle. Next topic, that is authors and dates. Initially, everything was transmitted orally to the next generation. From 5th century BC, Brahmanas took over the story and began to write. From 200 BC to 200 CE, the worship of Vishnu was growing in importance and Krishna, important figure of the epic, was identified with Vishnu. From 200 to 400 CE, some section of Manu Smritis were added and a text which had less than 10,000 verses grew to about 1 lakh verses. The enormous composition is traditionally attributed to a sage named Vyas. Next topic, that is the search for convergence. The Mahabharata contains description of battles, forests, palaces and settlements. In 1951-52, the archaeologist B.B. Lal excavated at a village named Hastinapur in Meerut. Within the limited area excavated, no definite plans of houses were obtained, but walls of mud and mud bricks were encountered. One of the most challenging episodes in the Mahabharata is Draupadi's marriage with the Pandavas, an instance of polyandry. Some historians feel that the practice of polyandry may have seemed unusual from Brahmanical point of view, but it was prevalent in the Himalayan region. In other words, there may have been a shortage of women during times of warfare, or it was attributed to a situation of crisis. The last topic of this chapter is a dynamic text. The growth of Mahabharata did not stop with the Sanskrit version. Over the centuries, versions of the epic were written in a variety of languages. At the same time, the central story of the epic was often retold in different ways, and they also provide themes for a wide range of performing arts, plays, dance and other kinds of narrations. With this, we come to the end of this chapter, that is Kinship, Caste and Class. And it is my request to all the students, please go through the chapter once. It will clear your doubts. And if you are having any doubts or any queries, you can write in comment box. Thank you very much.